Hello and welcome to all of you new subscribers to the channel. I'm happy to see that it's a lot of you that want to subscribe. This is part 3 of this series, and today we're gonna make the tractor start ready. So here we have the cylinder head. The previous owner snapped a bolt to the hot bulb, so we're gonna remove this hot bulb and see if we can replace the stud. The other hot bulb is not necessary to remove because you can see it from down under and it looks very good. So we're just gonna take off this one. Here you can see the inside of a hot bulb. It actually has an electric glow plug here. It has been burned off. We're gonna change that later on. Here is the low idle plug, maintains some of the heat in low idle. Here you can see the glow plug from outside, so this is changeable without removing this hot bulb again. If we want to start it without electricity, you have to heat this one up with a blowtorch to almost cherry red. Here you can see the sealing surface of the hot bulb. This is just plain cast iron. But in the cylinder head that meets with this is a copper ring. I didn't even remove that because it looks very good. So I don't think it's gonna be any problem to seal that one up. So here I'm gonna remove the injectors, and the injectors on these are pointing directly up to the hot bulb, which is very hot. So when it's pumping in fuel, the fuel evaporates immediately, mixes with the air, and makes a quite easy ignitable mixture, which ignites when the piston is going up, and that explodes, pushes the piston down, and this goes on and on. So here's the part where some of you are gonna think that I'm an idiot, because I'm gonna use this head gasket once again. But it actually says so in the owner's manual, and I have done this before with great results, and this looks very good. So I'm gonna heat it up with a blowtorch so the copper gets soft again, and we're gonna use it. It was quite a poor fit, both the gasket and the head. I don't think that this gasket, or the head for that matter, is from this tractor originally. I think the previous owner just collected the parts that he had tear down from other tractors, so that I had all the parts for this tractor. But I get it on with some gentle tapping with the plastic hammer, so that will work just fine. Here I'm cleaning out the injectors. Here's the nozzle. I also tear down the rest of the injectors because there is 2 check valves in there. It was pretty much debris in them, so now they're nice and clean. After I put the nozzles back on, I did put them in my diesel injector tester, and the spray pattern looks very nice. And that's a pretty important thing in those engines. A hot bulb engine, if you have a heated up hot bulb, if you have fuel, if you have some compression, it's gonna start almost immediately. So here I'm mounting the main fuel line that goes from the tank up to the starting tank, which also is the fuel filter that's placed above the fuel pump. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this because it's a pretty clever system actually, and pretty fun. So I'm going to leave it like that for now, and we're going to talk more about that later before starting it. Here I'm just adding some fuel to the starting tank. We're gonna let that run down to the fuel pump and we're gonna see if we can get that one going as well. Okay, so we're gonna see if we can get the fuel pump going. This is the speed regulator and here is a pumping element. You can pump it by hand manually here, and just one like this on the other side too for the other cylinder. So I think we're gonna tear this apart. Here is a check valve. We're gonna remove that and fill the pump with diesel and see if it starts pumping. So we're gonna try to fill this up with a little diesel. Like that. Seems to work just fine. And we'll try the other side. Got the check valve mounted here again. Seems to work just fine. Check the other side. Same thing there. Seems to work just fine. Yeah, you go ahead. Try to start it. This is my oldest daughter. She's 3 now, and I'm happy to see that her interest in tractors are as big as mine. Here's where you're supposed to put the start handle. This will probably work just fine, but I have a spare one of these tabs. So we're gonna replace that. We're gonna remove the oil tank with these 4 nuts here, and then we can put the new one in instead.
Yum, yum, yum. Me.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about these hatches here before I mount them on, because they actually do have a pretty interesting function. This tube here is supposed to lead the oil down to the container, down in the engine block, because this is a two-stroke engine, so we don't want any oil in the crankcase. So if the oil level rises above the end of this tube, the overpressurized crankcase pushes the oil up in the tube, goes in here through a channel, through this hole, which meets with that one, and that one is a channel down to the container in the crankcase where we want the oil to be collected instead of in the crankcase. So that's pretty clever. That will be the end of the part 3. Here is a quick look of what's going to happen in part 4. Here we attach the fuel lines and do the last adjustments to the engine before we're going to start it. So in the next episode, part 4, we're going to start the engine. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, because you don't want to miss part 4 when we start it up, I think. And thanks for watching, and I see you next time, and have a great day.